Will the clerk please call the roll?
Colasar.
Here.
Lamb.
Here.
Rose.
Here.
Shields.
Here.
Simpson.
Here.
Coin.
Here.
Hilberg.
Here.
Reading of the minutes.
Mr. President,
Mr. Shields.
I move that the minutes of the 12/10/12 regular meeting, the 1/7/13 organizational, and the 1/7/13 special, as prepared and submitted by the clerk, be approved.
Second.
Any discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Hilberg.
Yes.
Colasar.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Reports of standing committees. The Finance Committee met prior to council meeting, and the next meeting is in 2 weeks. Health, Safety, and Sanitation Committee, Mr. Rose.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Wednesday, December 19th, 2012, the Safety and Health Committee met to discuss the tragic event in Newtown, Connecticut. The Superintendent of Schools, Chief of Police from the City of Medina, Medina Township, Montville Township, the Fire Chiefs of Medina City and Medina Township, the LST Chief were all in attendance. Several residents also shared their concern by attending. The conversation revolved around the schools, what the schools are doing to protect their children. The district has taken several steps to slow the entry to the schools. The safety forces have explained how tactics have evolved to protect the children, help any injured, and get to the shooter as quickly as possible. All in attendance were provided an opportunity to participate in the conversation. The subject of keeping folks safe while attending school, church, or any large attendance event is complicated. There is no one solution. The Safety Committee will meet again in March at a date to be announced in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you. Public Properties Committee, Mr. Shields.
Thank you, Mr. President. Public Properties will meet next February 5th at 5:30.
Thank you. Special Legislation Committee, Mr. Lamb.
Thank you, Mr. President. Special legislation will meet on January 31st at 6:30, and I have an agenda pending.
Thank you. Streets and Sidewalks Committee, Mr. Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Streets and Sidewalks is setting a pending meeting up sometime in February to be announced.
Okay, thank you. Water and Utilities Committee, Mr. Colzar.
Thank you, Mr. President. Water and Utilities is actually meeting this Wednesday, January 16th at 5:30 downstairs in the multipurpose room. We're going to be talking about a water distribution system model that was updated in 2012, talk about Avon Lake rate increases again, current project updates, and recommendations for future capital projects. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, we have requests for council action. We have several for the Finance Committee. We have 13001, annual transfer for the parking fund, 13002, railroad fund transfer, 13003, repayment of a quarter of the advance for the general purpose capital to the water fund, 13004, amending ordinance 21712, network switches for the police department, 13005, amending and update of salaries and benefits code section 3101, 13006, RFQs and RFPs for the CHIP consultant, 13008, revocable use permit for 135 North Broadway Street. For the Public Properties Committee, we have one item. It's 13007, Sam Massey and Nichols Park plans discussion. And the Water and Utilities Committee has one item, 13009, Arcadis water distribution model update for 2012. Reports of municipal officers. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a number of updates for council and the community. The website RFPs have been received. We had a administrative review team has narrowed all of the proposals to the top 3. They're planning to have a second round of interviews with this group, and then we hope probably within the next 2 to 3 weeks to have a recommendation to council. Online bill paying is up and operational. Interested customers may sign up on the website front page. Mr. Durham may have further on how that's going, but we started that about mid-December. The new digital phone system is being prepared, and some of the hardware being installed. They plan to test it around the end of February and have it go live March 1st. And yesterday, I was at the Rec Center open house and the 10-year anniversary. There was a great community turnout, a number of people signing up for memberships. Mike may have a little bit more to share on that, but I just wanted to share with council that it gave me the opportunity while I was there to talk with many of the current members. Some of them have been members since the very beginning and get their input on the services provided and how well they liked the rec center, and everything I heard was very positive, and wanted to pass that on to you. On January 30th, 2012, Dr. Michael Roizen, an international health expert on wellness from the Cleveland Clinic, will be at the Performing Arts Center at 7 p.m. Tickets are available at Medina Hospital. Last I checked, there were still several hundred available. There's no charge. They are asking for a donation, however, of a non-perishable food item when you pick up the tickets at the hospital, which will then go to support our local food banks. And then last but not least, I have a flag to present to Council President Coyne. On Sunday, December 16th, at 10 a.m., I was invited out to the Ohio National Guard and presented with the flag that was flown in Afghanistan by one of our local Ohio National Guard companies on February 21st, 2012. The flag was presented to thank the city and Medina City Council for our ongoing support of the Ohio National Guard units located in the city of Medina, and I'd like to present that to Mr. Coyne.
Thank you, Mayor. We'll display that and hopefully maybe in council chambers with honor.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Durham, the Director of Finance.
Thank you, Mr. President. A couple things. The mayor mentioned the online bill payment for utilities for the city. That's up and running. We haven't had any major glitches with that. My usual every year announcement is that all city residents are required to file a city income tax return. We have the forms here at Medina, or you can print them from the website. We have a link to it. We have the link also in a stuffer you'll get with the January utility bills. And if you want assistance with your tax forms, we had lined up some people to come down from CCA and help out with that. All of these opportunities will be at the Rec Center, and it's Saturday, March 2nd from 9 to 4, Tuesday, March 12th from 1 to 8, Wednesday, April 3rd from 1 to 8, and Saturday, April 13th from 9 to 4. Those times and locations should be on your TV if you're watching at home. So if you want help with that, there you can get it there.
Thank you. Mr. Huber, Law Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report.
Thank you. Chief Baraducci, Police Chief.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Medina Police Department is in the process right now of training all its officers in emergency medical care to deal with gunshot wounds, I guess the best way to put it. In light of what happened in Newtown, Connecticut, we have rolled that training out to every officer so that they can not only care for themselves, but others should they be called upon to enter a building of that nature. The good news part of this, if there is good news, is we're fortunate to have a member of the LST team that's a 3-time combat veteran, Brian Cavanaugh, served for 18 years as a Marine Corps corpsman, and he's a member of our LST team as well as a part-time firefighter in our city. He is doing this training. By the end of the month, we will have trained all of our officers. They'll be better able to care for themselves and for others. But more importantly, the superintendent for the Medina City Schools, the mayor, the president of the hospital, several business people through the community are coming to these classes to see these techniques, to learn this method of caring for people. And we hope to spread this throughout the community. Just as police tactics have changed in light of these active shooter incidents, so has medical care. And I'm just really proud to be working with Brian, and I think we owe him a real gratitude for what he's doing. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Rice, Economic Development Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. Couple items to note. The next Economic Development Committee meeting is scheduled for tomorrow, which is Tuesday, January 15th at 7:45 a.m. at City Hall in the multi-purpose room. Also, our next Medina City Development Corporation is having their annual meeting tomorrow as well. And that meeting is scheduled for 5:30 p.m. at City Hall in the multipurpose room. The next JED meeting, which is our Joint Economic Development District meeting with Montville Township, is scheduled for Thursday, January 17th at Montville Township Safety Service Center. Their address is 6665 Wadsworth Road, and the meeting will start at 5 p.m. The next Medina Area Transportation Task Force meeting is scheduled for this Friday, January 18th at 2:00 p.m. The meeting will be held at City Hall in the multipurpose room. The city, along with Main Street Medina and the Medina Chamber of Commerce, will be celebrating a grand reopening and ribbon cutting event for the Dress Bridal Boutique. That event is scheduled for this Thursday, January 17th at 4:00 p.m. The address is 241 South Court Street, and refreshments will be served, and discounts and drawings will be offered all weekend long. And we are also in the process of planning another ribbon cutting and grand opening event for the newly opened Domino's Pizza on North Court Street. And stay tuned for more details on that one. And that's my report.
Thank you. Mr. Hannon, Planning and Community Development Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. The boards and commissions had their last meetings this past Thursday on January the 10th. A couple of cases of note. There was approvals for expanded signage for the emergency room for Medina Hospital. Additionally, there was approval for a new O'Reilly's Auto Parts, which will be a freestanding facility in North Court. And TLT Babcock on Independence Drive had a large expansion for the incorporation of their corporate headquarters and a large increase in employment within the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Chief Painter, Fire Chief.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Wright, Recreation Center Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank all the community members who came out yesterday to our New Year, New You event, which is also our 10th anniversary event sponsored by the Medina Hospital. It was a fantastic turnout, which included the first sign-up for the Cleveland Clinic employees who were receiving a membership through their employee health plan. We had 176 eligible signed up, so that was great. I also wanted to thank the mayor and his wife for attending. I know the community and staff enjoyed talking with them and having them at the event. The Medina Rec Frosty 5K Run and Walk is Sunday, February 10th, with the start time at 9 a.m. The cost is $15 for member, $20 for non-members. If you register before January 30th, you'll get a free race T-shirt. Check-in starts at 8:15, and prizes will be awarded to winners in different age categories. In an effort to help ensure the safety and security of the patrons of the MCRC and to help make sure we have a more accurate database of the people entering the facility, I would like to remind all non-members of the MCRC of our ID policy. This policy requires that all patrons using the facility that are not members will have to show an ID to enter the facility. Day passes will not be sold to persons who fail to present a photo ID, and all guests 12 years and younger must be accompanied by an adult providing proper identification. Visitors and spectators will also be required to show a photo ID to enter the facility. All scanned driver's license of patrons entering the facility are instantly referenced to the National Sexual Offender Registry, and all offenders will be denied access to our facility per our existing policy. This policy is in place to help protect you and your children. Lastly, our next scheduled advisory board meeting is this Thursday, January 17th at 7:30 a.m. at the Rec Center. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Vogel, Building Official.
Thank you, Mr. President. As of January 1st, 2013, the City of Medina, as a certified building department in the state of Ohio, has adopted the 2013 Residential Code of Ohio. There are a number of significant changes to the code, and contractors as well as homeowners should be aware that those changes will have an impact on almost every project. Just to highlight a few of the changes, carbon monoxide as well as smoke detectors are now required outside of bedroom areas. Deck requirements have changed significantly regarding when approvals are required, what kinds of footings are acceptable, and how the structure is framed. Post and beam construction, otherwise known as pole barns, now have extensive code language describing requirements. The 2013 residential code is now showing heightened concern about the ability of structures to withstand uplift, for example, in high winds or other extreme events. Floors, roofs, and walls have many new requirements for framing, bracing, and attachment that will make these structures more resistant to those events. The energy compliance requirements have also gone through a major revision and will likely affect the way houses are built, insulated, heated, and cooled from the foundation to the roof. Because of the many changes to the code, this department will try our best to ease builders into the new code while they, as well as we, learn the many new changes and new requirements. As always, if planning a residential project, please contact the Medina City Building Department, and we will assist you through this transition into the new code. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Swanson, Parks and Recreation Director.
Happy New Year, Mr. President, and the rest of council. Thank you. The all sports registration sign up will be registering and where you can pay on Saturday, January 26, 2013. This will be hosted at the Medina Hospital from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Please bring your child to sign up for youth sports, as all of the associations will be present. We'll have flag and tackle football and cheer, the boys and girls soccer, girls softball, boys baseball, and lacrosse. But also the hospital will have representatives present to answer some questions regarding sports physicals, rehabilitation services, and speed and agility testing. And then one more announcement. This is to the Medina City residents regarding city-authorized utility tree work. The city of Medina was recently notified that First Energy would be doing some vegetation management once again in the city right-of-way. And so what they're doing is they're giving us maps, and we will work with Ohio Edison to notify the public. Right now, Asplin is the tree contractor performing the maintenance along the distribution lines. If you have questions, a phone number is provided on the door hanger you should receive. Please call that phone number, and their representative will meet with you on the property to discuss the work to be done. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Popoli, Service Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. The city experienced our first big snowstorm on Wednesday, December 26th, the day after Christmas. The street department started at 7 a.m. that morning, and shifts were conducted from that forward through the next day by all city personnel available. We appreciate the efforts from all the different departments that help staff the different shifts. Since that day, the weather has been very manageable. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor's appointments, we have one for the Records Commission, Jackie Smith, a resident, for the term expiring 12/31/13.
Move to approve the mayor's recommendation.
Second.
Any discussion on the mayor's appointment? Will the clerk please call the roll on the mayor's appointment?
Rose?
Yes.
Shields?
Yes.
Simpson?
Yes.
Coin?
Yes.
Hilberg?
Yes.
Colasar?
Yes.
Lamb?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
And welcome, Jackie. Jackie's in the audience with us today. Notices, communications, and petitions. There are none. Unfinished business? None. Introduction of visitors. Members of the public will be permitted the opportunity to speak on any issue or concern which pertains to the city during the portion of council agenda devoted to introduction of visitors. All comments shall be directed to the chair, and a reasonable time limit of approximately 5 minutes will be imposed. If there is a group, please appoint a spokesperson. Speakers should approach the front right microphone and state their name and address so it can be entered into the minutes. Members of the public will be afforded the opportunity to comment on other portions of the meeting as determined by the chair, or by a vote of a majority of the council members present. I believe we have the Medina High School students today going to give us a little presentation. And Mr. Lamb, if you'd like to introduce them.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have a really exciting addition to the meeting tonight, and as you can see over here on the screen, it is a website that really brings the history of Medina, makes that history come alive. And let me just say this, there are two things that people historically have said really have contributed to the greatness of this community. One of them, of course, is the Medina City Schools, and the other is the restoration of the downtown and our commitment to preservation in the city of Medina. So it's an exceptional thing tonight because two of those things come together. Both the restoration, the history, as well as the Medina City Schools and Medina City High School teacher Shannon Conley, who really in every way exemplifies the great service that Medina City school teachers provide to this community. And by being here tonight in the program that you're going to see, I mean, it makes that very clear. And all of us, I think parents and community members understand just how important teachers are to the process of education. Not just education as we sometimes think about it in a simple way, in the textbook way, and show up on time and go to class and go home and do homework, but to make education really come alive and make it part of the activities, not only of the community, but students involved in these activities to contribute to the community. And that's exactly what this does. So it's a real pleasure for me tonight to introduce Shannon Conley, high school social studies teacher, as well as the students that she's brought who have worked on this with her this year, who include Alex, Carolyn, Jared, and Jordan. So we appreciate you being here, and we are looking forward to seeing exactly what you put together.
Hi there. My name is Shannon Conley Kurjan. I live at 210 Ryland Circle in Medina. My students and I have embarked on a new challenge this semester. Not only is Medina City Schools providing students with an opportunity to learn in a blended environment, funded entirely by grant money, but my students are engaging their city by digitizing our local history. They have been studying American history by researching community stories from Medina residents, the Medina County Historical Society, and the Community Design Committee. I wanted them to share with you tonight their work in serving their community by providing Medina's history through a mobile app completely designed by students. It's available in the smartphone stores, either iTunes or the Droid Marketplace, as Medina Historical. But for those of you who don't have a smartphone, you can still get it online at discovermedina.org. Both give the general public access to the stories, both old and new, that make our city great. Alex Mutnansky, Caroline Obermeyer, Jordan King, and Jared Grenfell are here to share with you the results of their efforts.
I'm Alex. I researched Elmer Zarni. I'd like to start out with looking at Medina as a whole. What makes it unique from other counties or anywhere is the history. And the first thing I think of is how the square is. The square is a unique thing that we have that makes our city like amazing place to be around. Elmer Zarni, Medina in the 1960s was trying to modernize itself, and it did not look like we see it today. And in the beginning of my pictures, I had what the fire station looked like, which is not the beautiful sight that we see outside today. And Elmer and a small group of fellow citizens saw that Medina had these beautiful historical sites that weren't being seen how they should be. So he and his other citizens tried to fight this by protesting the city and making them historical sites and updating them to make them look differently. And he drew drawings like this to show that what the city's potential could be. And this was actually before the firehouse was the way we see it today. And he fought this to make it look exactly like it is. And if you take a picture from now and then, it's nearly exactly the same. And if it wasn't for Elmer Zarni and those other citizens, our city wouldn't be this amazing site that we have today. And we wouldn't have this beautiful square. And that's about all I have to say.
Good job.
Yeah, thank you.
Ella Canavan began teaching in 1900 at the age of 22. Her first school was a private residence in Medina, and it was this school that established a private kindergarten system in Medina. She went on to teach at the Lincoln Building and then Garfield Elementary School, where she remained until her resignation in 1945. In 1960, Ella Canavan Elementary School was dedicated in her honor, and she passed away shortly after in 1964. A picture is worth 1,000 words, and one of the great things about this website is it allows us to use pictures and captions to tell stories. I found this picture on the Medina City Schools website on Ella Canavan's page, and my grandma actually had Ella Canavan as a teacher in kindergarten, and upon seeing this picture, she immediately recognized the classroom and the teacher. She remembers Miss Ella as being a kind woman who everybody loved and respected greatly. Miss Ella's story, like so many others, is crucial to preserve in Medina's history. She was the definition of passionate about teaching, which is a very important part of Medina's values today. I believe that Medina's value of education is directly derived from Miss Ella's dedication to providing every child who walked through her classroom door with a good education, no matter what. Thank you.
Lloyd Burrier was my great-grandfather, and he did a lot to help Medina. He started up a lot of gas stations around the town for Marathon, earning him several prizes for his enormous accomplishments as increasing the businesses and helping them. There was also an optional thing for service stations back then of owning their own towing companies, which he did, and he did very well. And he helped many, many people, even at one point yelling at one of his employees for not wiping a guy's windows and checking his oil. And he did a lot, and he tried to do as much as he could for the community. He even towed Santa's house to the square every year. He even used his flatbed to help the band, so that the band could play on his flatbed during parades and everything. And most of this was doing out of the kindness of his heart. And his hard-working attitude and his love for Medina is what I think helped Medina become what it is today.
All right, I'm Jared Grunfell. I'm also a student in this class. And the person I did was Dave Weber, who was a student at Kent State in the 1970s. And I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, are familiar with the shootings that took place there on the early afternoon of May 4th, 1970. And so Dave Weber was actually a part of the planning committee for some of these rallies, although he never took place in them. So I think that this is just a really important story for all of us to be aware of, because it's just east of here, you know, Kent State. It's not even an hour, I'm pretty sure. So one of the elements of the app that really spices up these pages is audio, and I actually had the opportunity to interview Mr. Weber himself. So let's see, why don't you play the one about his perspective? It should be in the description.
It's very tough to hear. I don't know if you could put the microphone up to it.
yeah.
You could pull that microphone out and bring it up to the speaker on the, and then we all can hear it. Better. Is the mic? I don't know if you have it by the speaker. I don't know where the
I
speaker.
can hear it well down here.
You can hear it well. We can. I don't think it's going through the microphone. Anybody hear that out there? I don't think anybody hears that. No, it's not working.
The sound does give a nice
But we appreciate it.
Well, you can
That's a
just
good
go to
idea.
the website yourself and play it. But in conclusion, I think that Dave Weber was just a really good example of someone who stood for what he believed for, although, as I said earlier, he didn't take part in any of the rallies. But he still cared about, you know, just everything that he and his friends stood for with the war in Vietnam and their opposition to President Nixon's decision to send his troops to Cambodia. And so I think that we should be proud to have someone like him as a local in the city of Medina. Thank you.
Very nice paraphrasing. I like that.
Yeah.
So, as you can see, Medina City School students are by far part of what makes our students or our school system and city so fantastic. I have an opportunity to work with so many, but these who have decided to take a blended learning environment and make it their own are really a true example of the best and brightest that Medina has to offer. So I look forward to sending my students back out into the community in this coming semester, and I thank you all for meeting them and greeting them with open arms as they look for you to share your stories about our town and about our American history as a whole. Thanks so much.
We want to thank you, and we applaud you, each of you, for your efforts of highlighting the historic nature of the city of Medina. So we thank you for all your hard work. And you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting if you'd like. It's very exciting, so we hope you do stay. Anybody else that wishes to address council? Erica?
Thank you, Mr. President. Erica Griffin with the Medina County Auditor's Office. I have just a few reminders, some deadlines coming up. The first one is that dog licenses need to be renewed by January 31st. They're $12 and they'll double to $24 at that point. Our CAUV or farm renewal deadline is Monday, March 1st. The Board of Revision to argue or complain process the value of properties is due April 1st this year. The 31st of March falls on a Sunday. And lastly, I brought newsletters with me. The postal requirements have changed, so our newsletters are not going to be mailed out this quarter, and I will have them here after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else that wishes to address council? Introduction and consideration of ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance 2-13, an ordinance authorizing the expenditure of $45,900 to Emergitech, Inc. for the annual subscription fees for the computer-aided dispatch and records management system for the police department.
Move to approve.
Second.
Chief Baraducci.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is the annual subscription fee for our computer-aided dispatch, electronic records management system, and the in-car mobile data terminals that every Medina police car has.
Thank you. Any further comments? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Shields?
Yes.
Simpson?
Yes.
Coin?
Yes.
Hilberg?
Yes.
Colasar?
Yes.
Lamb?
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
Ordinance 2-13 passes 7-0.
Ordinance 3-13, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to accept 3 storm sewer easements for the Spruce Street rear yard drainage improvement project, job number 930B.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Mr. Piccoli.
Thank you, Mr. President. This was submitted by our city engineer. This project will correct a long-standing rear yard drainage problem in the area of Spruce and Oak Streets. Inlet basins and storm sewers will be installed and tied into the city storm system as well. This project does meet the requirement of our city's residential drainage program.
Thank you. Any further discussion or comment? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Simpson?
Yes.
Coin?
Yes.
Hilberg?
Yes.
Colasar?
Yes.
Lamb?
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
Shields?
Yes.
Ordinance 3-13 passes 7-0.
Ordinance 4-13, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to accept 2 drainage and storm sewer easements for the Brandywine Drive storm sewer extension.
Move to approve.
Second.
Mr. Piccoli.
Thank you, Mr. President. This also was submitted by our city engineer, Patrick Patton. The project repaired and extended existing storm sewer on Brandywine Drive. A portion of the existing pipe failed, resulting in significant slope loss at the adjacent ravine. A junction chamber was added to connect the existing functioning pipe to the new pipe, replaced to extend the sewer. This sewer transports stormwater collected from a large section of Brandywine Drive.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Mr. President.
Mr. Colzar.
I just want to say thank you to the service department for getting that job done. I know it was tough to fit in the schedule, and I know the residents appreciate it, and I appreciate it as well, and appreciate the residents for being patient, knowing that we were working to get it done, and we got it completed. So thank you.
And the credit should go to the engineers, too. So.
Well, he's part of your service department, so that's why.
Thank you.
Kept it vague.
Thank you. Any further discussion or comment? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Coin?
Yes.
Hilberg?
Yes.
Colasar?
Yes.
Lamb?
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
Shields?
Yes.
Simpson?
Yes.
Ordinance 4-13 passes 7-0.
Ordinance 5-13, an ordinance amending Chapter 1381 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Medina, Ohio, relative to the adoption of the International Property Maintenance Code 2012 edition.
Move to approve.
Second.
Mr. Vogel?
Thank you, Mr. President. We are currently enforcing the 2003 edition of the International Property Maintenance Code, and this ordinance would allow us to use the most current edition, which is the 2012 edition.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Hilberg?
Yes.
Colasar?
Yes.
Lamb?
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
Shields?
Yes.
Simpson?
Yes.
Coin?
Yes.
Ordinance 5-13 passes 7-0.
Resolution 6-13, a resolution authorizing the mayor to file an application for grant assistance with the Ohio Department of Services Agency for a downtown discretionary grant for the Farmers Exchange facility at 320 South Court Street.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
Mr. President,
Mr. Shields?
I don't think it's noted here, but I do know we need to add the emergency clause, so I move to add the emergency clause at this time.
My second includes the emergency clause.
Thank you. Discussion, Mr. Hannan.
Yes, thank you. Yes, this request is to apply for a grant assistance. We are requesting $250,000 to assist in a large-scale redevelopment of the Farmers Exchange property. The developer is anticipating 2 floors of residential housing units on the upper 2 stories with a restaurant and commercial space on the main floor. We have asked for the emergency clause to be included in hopes that the city can apply for the grant within the next week or 2 in hopes that the developer can start construction by this summer. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion on emergency clause? Will the clerk please call the roll on the emergency clause?
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Hilberg.
Yes.
Colasar.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Will the clerk please call the roll on the resolution?
Colasar.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Hilberg.
Yes.
Resolution 6-13 passes 7-0.
Resolution 7-13, a resolution requesting the county auditor to make tax advances during the year 2013 pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 32134.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion, Mr. Durham.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have to request these advances in order to get them from the county auditor's office. This is something that we do every year, and I request that we do it again this year.
Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll on the resolution?
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Hilberg.
Yes.
Colasar.
Yes.
Resolution 7-13 passes 7-0.
Ordinance 8-13, an ordinance authorizing the finance director to make certain fund transfers.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion, Mr. Durham.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a transfer to cover the parking fund. This is $65,000, should cover 1 year.
Thank you. Any further discussion or comment? Will the clerk please call the roll on the ordinance?
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Hilberg.
Yes.
Colasar.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Ordinance 8-13 passes 7-0.
Ordinance 9-13, an ordinance authorizing the finance director to make certain fund transfers.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion, Mr. Durham.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you know, we own a railroad. We have a group of businesses in town that are customers of that railroad. Each of them and the city contribute a set amount of money per year to the fund, and then there's a per car fee for the customers that use it. This is to pay our share to that fund for this year. It's $10,000.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Hilberg.
Yes.
Colasar.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Ordinance 9-13 passes 7-0.
Ordinance 10-13, an ordinance authorizing the finance director to make certain fund advances.
Move to approve.
Second.
Mr. Durham.
Thank you, Mr. President. An advance is a borrowing from one fund to another. Several years ago, we borrowed about $1.1 million from our water capital fund. We lent it from our from our general capital fund to our water capital fund, and this is part of the process of paying that back.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Hilberg.
Yes.
Colasar.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Ordinance 10-13 passes 7-0.
And ordinance 11-13, an ordinance amending ordinance number 217-12, passed December 10th, 2012, relative to the purchase of 22 network switches for the city of Medina.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
Mr. President,
Mr. Shields?
emergency clause has been requested. I move to add it at this time.
My second includes the emergency clause.
Any discussion? Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. President. The correction is the switches are made by Enter Assist Solutions, but they were ordered by DSP Solutions for the city of Medina. So the payment needs to go to DSP Solutions to correct this. The reason for the emergency clause are the switches have been sent to us and are in the process of being installed as we speak.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the emergency clause? Will the clerk please call the roll on the emergency clause?
Hilberg.
Yes.
Colasar.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
And any further discussion on the ordinance? Will the clerk please call the roll on the ordinance?
Coin.
Yes.
Hilberg.
Yes.
Colasar.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes. Sorry.
Ordinance 11-13 passes 7-0.
Council comments.
Mr. President.
Mr. Simpson.
First of all, I'd like to thank Shannon and her students. It was a very interesting and informal presentation. And I agree with Mr. Lamb. The community needs to recognize some of the extra things that are not only our teaching staff but our students do on a daily basis. Secondly, I'd just like to announce that the Medina Life Support Team is holding its second Citizen Academy class that's going to start sometime in February. For those interested, it's open to the public. I'm not sure. I think it lasts about 9 weeks. During that time, you do become certified in the American Heart Association CPR. Get to see all the Cleveland Clinic's emergency services provided. It's kind of a same program, same theory that was set up by the Citizens Police Academy. So the first class went real well. I believe Mr. Durham is a graduate of that class and can speak to it. But anybody interested can contact the Life Support Team office at 330-721-5015. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other council comments?
Mr. President.
Mr. Hilberg.
Ward 1 will be holding our first of 2 ward meetings on February 5th at 7 p.m. at Fire Station 1, which is located at 300 West Reagan.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Mr. President, thank you. Just let me say this, because this is really pretty exciting, the program that you did, Shannon. I appreciate you coming and bringing the students with you. And it strikes me, it's very interesting to me, is if you try, when I tried to look at the exact genesis of the restoration of that, when did the first, thought come that what was there in the 60s really had something underneath it that would be significant to the city to restore. And as you know, your first student, I think Alex mentioned, it's interesting to look at the buildings that were saved, but what you've really done is looked at buildings and houses that were saved. But beyond that is the people that have participated and are significant in that. When you lose a building, you lose a history. When you lose people, you also lose a huge history. And to bring the two things together, I think, is exciting and exciting and important to maintaining the history of this city in a meaningful way. And as your first student, Alex, mentioned, I thought it's just interesting to note that while Elmer Zarni was really the significant artist who did the firehouse, his son, Kim Zarni, was also a significant artist who served on Medina City Council. And the rendering of the firehouse that was done was brought here to City Hall and shown to then Mayor Fred Greenwood. And if you look at the real genesis of the beginning of the restoration, it had to happen not in this City Hall, but in the original city, in the former hall. It had to have happened when that Elmer Zarni brought that drawing of the firehouse to Mayor Greenwood, and he agreed to provide the paint and assistance to do the restoration of the firehouse. And from that point, it was like lighting a fire that the rest of it was able to carry on. And I think some of those things get lost and forgotten as we move along through the decades of, the folks that really were responsible and were behind it. So, I appreciate what you're doing as well as what your students doing, and it is important and it matters a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
Mr. Shields.
I also wanted to thank Shannon for being here this evening. I know how hard she has worked on this, and she's doing a great job with the students and wants to make sure as many residents of Medina know about this as possible. So another historical note, just so I can embarrass Shannon for a minute, is that she is actually a lifelong Medina resident, grew up in Ward 4, and she graduated from Medina High School as homecoming queen her senior year. But as I looked at the students too, there's a couple second and third generations Medina students there too, so lots of Medina historical connections here. So thanks, Shannon, for being here.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Mr. President.
Mr. Simpson.
I just do have to embellish what Mr. Shields says about the Conley family. Now, they are longtime Medina residents. What the perspective I got from this, not only how great that you and the students did, it makes me sad because I'm at the age now that I'm actually related to history. I knew Mr. Zarni. I knew Mr. Boyer. I was a senior in high school when Kent State happened. So Yeah, it gets to be a little bit, yeah, I know, shut up. It gets to be a little bit sad that now that we're talking history and I'm there, God, thank you.
Any other council comments? Well, we only have 20 more regularly scheduled meetings this year, so I hope everybody can continue to attend them, so we can kick it off good. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
20, no more. You go on the commissioners.